Welcome back to Aghalee Farm. Now this is actually the second time I've recorded this video, but unfortunately the first time I thought I'd hit stop recording and I hadn't, and I carried on playing for about an hour after recording before I went to upload the video. So the video was over an hour long, and I thought, and I was only talking for the first 18 minutes of it, so I'm now re-recording it, which is a shame really, because if we go this way for a second, one of the things I did in the first video, because I was picking up all the bales from the two fields that I've just mowed and baled up, and I was doing an experiment to find out which Bedford truck of the two was actually quicker for doing bales, because this one only holds 8 bales, but it auto loads and auto unloads, although it auto unloads in stacks of 4, so you have to use a bale fork on the front of a tractor to split the stacks of 4 down stacks of 2 like that after it's unloaded them, because if you leave them stacked 4 high, then the game physics tend to make the bales jump about. And this one here carries between 16 and 20 bales depending on how well you stack them. Only 2 high, but you have to manually load and unload them. Now it turns out the green truck is a lot faster, even though you're only doing half the number of bales. You can but yeah, I used both trucks to stack all those bales, but I'm not going to repeat all that because I've already saved the game since then. But first of all, the first thing I wanted to say too on this video was I've got an apology to make. I've always been saying that of the 5 farms I'm doing, 4 of them are Irish and 1 of them's UK, and one of my viewers queried that sorry, suggesting that one of the other farms I was on was actually a UK map and not an Irish map. So, and that was Greenwich Valley. So I went back to the source first of all of where I downloaded the map from, and it didn't say what country it was based in, so I don't know where I got the idea it was Irish from. But I did a bit more research. I discovered that indeed that viewer was absolutely correct. So it turns out that of the 5 maps I'm playing, 3 of them are Irish maps, which is Ballyspring Farm, Ballincraig Estate, and this one, Aghalee Farm, and 2 of them are UK maps, which is Greenlands Farm and Greenwich Valley. So apologies that I've been telling you all along about that. It wasn't deliberate. I wasn't deliberately trying to deceive you. I just had it wrong. Now, I have got 2 changes I've made to this farm, so I'll take this out for a spin and I'll show you the 2 changes I've made. It is a shame that you didn't get to see me doing the baling, but them's the breaks. Or see me loading the bales onto the truck, should I say. So down here we have the greenhouses, as you know, and I split that paddock into 2 because I didn't want to fill the whole entire paddock full of greenhouses, and I didn't know what to do with the second half of it last time. Now I know that AK very generously made a suggestion, and he suggested I grow popsicles in the back half of it. Yeah, thank you very much, AK. Brilliant idea, I'm sure. I did actually wonder whether I should try and find some marking sticks I could put in the ground as popsicle sticks and then say that I'd followed your advice, but I have decided now what to do with this field, and I've got sheep in it. Now, an interesting thing, I'd actually paid off my loan in full in this game, on this game save, and normally when I do that, because I don't like being debt free in the game, so normally I just go into XML and I give myself another big debt to try and pay off again. But when there's things I actually want to do to change on the farm, you know, and I spend the money on that instead. So I have gone back into debt now, I think from memory, and we'll go and have a look. I think I'm about, I can't even read that. What does it say? 25,000? Yeah. So I'm 25,000 in debt again now. That won't take long to pay off, and then I might have to go into XML. So that 25,000 was making the 2 changes that I've made. One was putting in the sheep pasture here, where I had to pay to put the actual pasture down, pay to buy the sheep, and also painting and grassing the field in the shorter grass here, which I use for animal fields, and finally putting in a water pump. Now, you can't see it very well because I've hidden it in a bush. I normally hide all my water pumps in a bush like this, but this is basically the same mod as Fury Machine Gaming's using on his FS25 game save, but the FS22 version of it. So it's just a water pump you can use for greenhouses or animal fields, and I always, because I think a water pump looks out of place in a field, so I always hide it in bushes like that. So the water there, if you can see there, the water's sort of heaps. Now, the reason I've had to put the water troughs halfway down this paddock instead of right down the end here, I'll show you as we go out, because normally, and I discovered this by trial and error, normally I put the water troughs down here somewhere, but the water pump has to be in a very small distance away from the water trough. You can't have it miles away, and unfortunately, if I put the water pump at that end of the field, then it was just too close to these greenhouses, so it started supplying water not just for the trough of the sheep paddock, but also for the greenhouses. And as you know, I don't like getting money for doing nothing, so like I don't mind free water on the animal paddocks, because I'm still having to provide them with food, but since the only thing I need to do to the greenhouses is provide them with water, I didn't want that to be for those to be done by that water pump as well, so I wanted to have to manually use this trailer here to top up the water every day for the greenhouses. And so that's why the troughs are halfway down the length of the paddock, just to get the water pump, which has to be close to the water trough, away from the greenhouses, so it didn't start automatically providing water to those as well. Then the other change that I've done to the farm, which is a mod I downloaded, I've never used this mod before, but I'm going to show it to you if we head back down here. So on this farm I've got two paddocks that I mow on a regular basis. Now the first one is this one here, and you may recall, if I just park on the side of the road here for a second, so with this one, because I really like these ornate gate posts, but to me they look a bit too ornate just to have in a normal field, so what I did is I put the old farmhouse, or the remains of it, so this is the remains of the old stone farmhouse, and that would have been the main gate into the farm. And with this old farmhouse I've also downloaded some stones, and I've put some inside there, as you can see, just to make it look like the foundations here are falling apart and things. So, but there's also stones in the grass here, so there's some there, and there's some there, and some there, and some around this side as well, and things. Now the stone mod is such that if I ran the mower over them, if I run a tractor over them, it sort of bumps over the stones, but it doesn't actually damage the mower in any way. In real life, of course, it would, which is why when I'm mowing this field I give it a wide berth around the old farmhouse area, so I'm not hitting all the stones. Plus, on top of that, and the way I play it, as you probably already know, if I get a vehicle stuck to a place where I just cannot get it out, I sell it and then buy a replacement. I treat it as a write-off. And if I hit those stones with a mower, I'm going to do it the same way. I'll have to sell that mower as being trashed. I also put this tree in this paddock as something else that I have to sort of mow around and things. And I like having things I have to work around, like the foundations there with the stones and the tree. So the paddock next door to this one, which if I go to the map for a second, up here, this paddock 20 here, was just a big rectangular field with no obstructions in it or nothing to make it interesting to mow. So the mod I downloaded to make a change to the farm is in paddock 20, and we'll go and have a look at it now. Let's run down here. Now I can't go into paddock 20 because I left my tractor parked there because I'm halfway through fertilising paddock 20, but I ran out of fertiliser, so I've got to go and buy some more from the store before I can finish the job, and I left the tractor parked there just to remind myself. If we run down here, I have a radio mast which I downloaded and put in this paddock. Now this radio mast mod, it doesn't come with the fenced area there, it's just the radio mast and the three cables that would keep it standing straight up. Okay, I put the fence around it myself. Now, I don't know how this works in Australia, in Ireland, or in America, or anywhere else, but I know in New Zealand, radio masts like this normally are put in the middle of a farmer's paddock. They're not put in the towns because the interference and things. So they have to be miles away from any kind of electronic interference, which is why they're always stuck in the middle of a farmer's paddock. And the farmer would be paid some rental money to compensate him for having that mast in the paddock. I would imagine, I'm not a farmer so I don't know this for certain, but I would imagine that the local council would decide where the mast should go and the farmer probably doesn't get a lot of say in it. So one thing I did change about this radio mast when I downloaded it is in the actual mod, when you download it, it pays I think it's about $2,500 in income each hour, which works out to about $28,000 a month in income. Well, as I said before, I don't like getting income for nothing, and so I went in and I changed the XML file to change the income from this. Now, I didn't want to change it to 0 because I thought since the mod is designed to give you an income, if I change it to 0, it might muck the game up. So what I've done instead is I've changed it to give me an hourly payment of $1 per hour, so that having this radio mast here pays me $24 a day, and I can live with that because that's such a small, meaningless amount that I can live with it giving me that much. Now the fence, as I said, the fence in the grassed area I put up here myself. So in New Zealand, where you have radio masts in the middle of a paddock like this, you'll have a decent fence around it, and this would have a couple of strands of barbed wire around the top, but obviously I can't do that in this mod. And there's two reasons for the fence. The first reason is to keep animals out, so animals don't interfere with the radio mast, and the second reason, the reason it would have barbed wire at the top, is to keep possible vandals out. Okay, if I jump this fence for a second, if I can get over, yep. So with this mast mod, the mast itself has crash physics on it. As you can see, I can't walk through it, but these wires don't. So if I didn't have the fence around it, then I physically could drive through the three retaining cables here if I wanted to, but I've put the fence around the retaining cables as well as around the mast, because of course in real life you couldn't drive through those, so it just seemed right to me to have the fenced in area around the retaining cables as well. Now I would be really interested to know if any of you are aware, in the countries you're from, when you have like a radio mast in the middle of a paddock, and I assume you sometimes get them in the middle of paddocks, and that's why this mod was made in the first place, but I'd be interested to know, do you have fenced off area around it like this, like we do in New Zealand, or would you just have the mast in the middle of the paddock and you can mow or whatever as close to the mast as you can possibly get and things? So yeah, I would love to hear from you. Now I do really like that mast mod, or I do now that I've modified it to only pay you $1 an hour's income, and that big paddock that I've just recently bought on Belly Spring, I'm thinking quite seriously about putting a radio mast in that big paddock as well, just to again break up the paddock a bit and make it a bit more interesting to mow. So that's the other thing that I've changed on this farm since you last saw it. Now the other thing that I might show you is that water pump that I showed you before, and it was a bit hard to see it because it was in a bush. So for this paddock here I didn't put it in a bush just because I want it to look like a piece of junk lying in the yard. So that's what the FS22 version of the water pump looks like, and I think when you place it, I think it costs about $100 to place, and it's got 1 million litres of water. So as long as you stick it within curry distance of a water trough like that, it just keeps that water trough full all the time. So it means you don't need to go around with a water tanker filling up all your troughs. It works on both animal pens and greenhouses, which is why I put it further away from my greenhouses down the other end of the farm because I didn't want it filling the greenhouses. I need the sheep pen. I have one of these for each of my cow paddocks. So this one here is quite visible because it's in the yard. I just want it to look like a piece of junk lying in the yard. But in all my other paddocks, we'll just go around here so I can show you. So we've got a water trough here, and in the hedge here, that's where I've hidden the water pump. So either where I can, I always hide the water pumps in a hedge, but if the water trough is far enough away from the hedge, I can't put it in the hedge because that's just too far away. Then I'll just put it somewhere in the paddock and then put bushes all around it, like I've done with the sheep pen there. So you still can't see it because it's just got bushes all around it. So yeah, that's the changes I wanted to show you on the map. And I'm really sorry you didn't get to see me loading bales onto the trucks and to see which truck was faster. But as I said, I recorded it all once already, and it just turned out to be over an hour long because I didn't stop it when I was meant to. I thought I had, but I obviously hadn't. So my next job on the farm here is to go and pick up some more fertiliser from the shop. I'll need to take one of the trucks down to do that, and then I'll need to bring that back to the farm, unload it all, then load up the sprayer there and go and finish spraying that paddock. So I've just finished doing first cut of the season. Now it's May, and the reason first cut is so late being done is there was still snow on the ground. With these maps, it doesn't snow every winter if you have the snow turned on. It's sort of random, and I like that because I would imagine that it wouldn't necessarily snow every winter in Ireland. But this winter that I've just been through, it was actually a very heavy snow. So when it got to March, which was the beginning of spring, the snow was still on the ground, and therefore the grass didn't actually start growing in the fields until April. So hence I couldn't mow it until May. So it means that I'm very late getting that first cut of the season done, and I'm not absolutely certain whether I'll get 3 cuts out of this season or not. I may only get 2 cuts this season as a result of it being so late in the year. Normally I would be doing first cut in April, not May. So yeah, I'm a month behind where I want to be with my cuts. So I'll definitely get 2 cuts out of the season. I'm hoping to get 3, but I'm just not certain. Anyway, we'll leave that at that, and I will catch up with you all again later on. Thank you very much. Bye.